Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Almighty God, you have blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely in the service of our town government. We ask this in thy holy name. Amen. You salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank everybody for coming. We have one person in the audience, I believe, has an item he'd like to discuss with us. Steve Southwick, you are president of the board now, I understand?
Yes.
President of the local school board?
Yes.
You want to go ahead, Steve?
Yes. I'm here on behalf of the NCCS School Board to discuss, answer any questions that you may have about the school and the town's intent to transfer the existing school's water line from the school down to Paquette Drive over to the town. We've discussed this for quite a while. We had some misinformation along the way, but I really feel like we're in the right position now to be able to make this happen. So what the school board needs, according to our attorney, is some form of a resolution from the town board stating its intent to take over the water line. And then in turn, the school board's attorney has put together a declaration. I can read it to you what it's called. It's called a deed of declaration and easement agreement. And it outlines specifically how it will be transferred from the school to the town for the sum of $10.
Okay. Any board member have any questions?
And that runs to a fire hydrant behind the school,
Yes.
like the original?
I mean, if you want to, my thought was maybe we could put a, but I think there is a pit somewhere along there that identifies, we'd have to specifically look at what the demarc would be between the school and the water line, but I'm pretty sure there's already a pit there that would identify the place where that would take place. It might even be written in this declaration.
Does any board member have any questions while Steve's looking that up?
Yeah, the point I asked earlier, and Steve did say that right now, if something were to happen to the water line, it would break, then the same people would go up there and fix it, probably the electric company. However, the cost of that would be the school expense.
Right.
Once we make the transfer over, then the town would pay that expense.
That's right.
Another question I have, what would happen if someday the school district wished to have another hydrant out in front of the school? Is that incumbent upon the town to provide that, or would it?
I wouldn't think so.
If that line gets extended,
Yeah.
is it?
Well, that's-
I think that would be a whole nother,
That's an whole.
it's another lateral, so it would be part of.
Does it end right behind the school? Go to- in the
It
school?
ends, it drops down the hill across the cross-country trail, and it comes in to the back of the school in the corner by the middle school. There's a boiler room where,
Okay.
I mean, this all started, the history of it, there used to be a huge tank in the ground up there, and the school had its own well
Yep.
that was perfectly fine. And then the tank failed, and through a decision with the health department and the school and the board, they decided to get grant money and also a bond together to pay to have a main put in from the school all the way to Paquette Drive, including fire hydrants along the way as well.
Okay.
And the other part of the history is that the school actually tried to get the village of Champlain to annex that property between Paquette Drive and the school so that they could then turn it over to the village as part of their water system. But the records in the village office show that understandably, there was no advantage to the village annexing that property for, you know, taxation or industrial reasons, so.
For future use.
It got turned down. So now that the town has that as part of its water district, to me, it only makes sense to try to, you know, I still feel both hats here, the town and the school, but I think it potentially benefits the town in the future more than it does the district.
Okay. So if it would be in order for a motion from some board member to send her a letter of intent that we'd like to take the line back,
Yes, please.
not back, ownership of,
Yes.
for future use. And,
I can make that motion, that the town accept the water line from the school to be annexed back.
It's a statement of intent,
Yes.
is that what we need to say?
Declaration.
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 Deed of declaration and easement.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, concerns?
I think it's pretty well, I think it.
I think this is an advantage to both of us.
Yeah,
It is.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys.
Good compromise. And we've been talking about it for 2 or 3 years, probably more.
We have.
Okay. That line is a fairly new line. That was put in when I first got here. I'm just guessing 10, 12 years ago. Alan,
Yes.
you-
Yeah,
But
I
in
think,
2005.
yes.
Okay,
Done, yeah.
okay. So it's not a very old line, so to speak.
And these records show it's a 12-inch main too, which is considerable.
Yes, yes.
As
Okay,
far
any
as
other
distribution,
discussion?
you know, as far as distribution goes, it's good that it's a 12-inch.
Yeah.
Because at one time, Steve, when we were in the process of designing the present water district, we thought about bringing that line from the school all the way back to 276 and Route 11. That did not happen. That's, with this ownership, that might be possible in the future if need be. Okay? You never know who might want to develop land or something, okay? Anyways, I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? If not, I'd like a roll call vote on this. Rick?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
John?
All right,
And I for myself. I thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
thank
You
you.
don't have to leave, Steve, you can stay.
Get a hold of me, Clark.
I will do that. Thank you.
See you guys.
care.
Thank you.
Take care, Steve.
Bye, Julie.
Okay. I would like approval of the minutes of September 11th.
I make a motion to approve the September 11th minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any questions or concerns about the minutes?
Question, if we're going to redo or revote the cable agreement, at this time, would we rescind what was
Well,
in
that needs to be a separate motion, I believe. so-
We can do it after you approve the minutes?
Yes, these minutes were, what happened at that meeting,
Correct?
rescinding that motion pertaining to the cable company
Okay, I,
will be part of this board minutes of this
okay,
meeting.
okay.
Okay?
All right.
Okay, I believe I have a motion to second. Is there any other questions, concerns about the minutes of September 11th, regular board meeting? If not, all those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. You have your town clerk's monthly report. I would like approval. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the town clerk's monthly report.
I'll second
Thank you. Any questions?
Need more
Concerns?
building permits.
Pardon?
Need more building permits.
Yeah.
Village,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No? Okay, a motion to second. All those in favor?
all right,
that. Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. You have your JCO monthly report on the number of things that they've helped in the local community last month. Okay. We need to approve the commercial lease agreement with the North Country Golf Club. I did have our attorney take a look at this, and there's no problem with the attorney approval. I would like to move, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is there any questions about the commercial lease agreement with North Country Golf Club for 5 years now? 5-year agreement. We will have a roll call vote on this if there's no questions. Rick?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and John,
Aye.
and I myself, thank you.
Is
Yes.
there a lot of pushback right after that? You-
Not as much as I expected, let's put it that way,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
Some.
Some, yeah, I got a couple of raised eyebrows when I went home,
Did you?
looking at me, but I still
Okay.
think we did the right thing.
I had two people come up and say they were glad that we did it, so, you know,
Okay.
they're appreciative
I didn't
of
have
the
anybody
face.
approach me.
I had a lot of people coming,
I bet you they were very happy.
very happy. There should never be a disconnect between town and what the town offers.
No.
And this is one thing, I also got a lot of feedback from the guys, because I've been trying to work out something with the Village of Rise Point for a youth commission and that contract. And anything that's positive and brings more people in the area for the town is a good thing. And the golf course, I know that a lot of us don't play golf, but a lot of us do. And even if you just wanted to go see the golf course right now with the change of colors, I mean, the grass is green, the maple trees are all turning, it's a beautiful spot. It's like they can walk in the new trail, and the new rec trail we have without all the noise. It's beautiful, and it's open to anybody in the town can go up at any time, get a cart and drive around. I'll be more than happy to give somebody a tour, but it's really a recreational facility that is sometimes underutilized and not appreciated for really what the guys have done there. And you're taking, I think it's 100 and, I'm not sure exactly, 20 or 30 acres of farmland and turned it into a beautiful golf course, which will hold its own against any other golf course in the North Country, I believe.
Well, I understand they've had a very successful year for a lot of different reasons, weather, management, a lot of,
They're managing to keep their head above the water, and this agreement that we're gonna have is gonna help them.
Do they have a monthly board meeting?
Pardon?
Do they have a monthly board meeting?
Yeah,
Is it ever possible the public just go
sure.
and speak to them?
It's open to any board members, anybody wants to go in, can sit down and listen.
Who would, when would that be? When do they have their meeting?
Well, they had one, they had a closing meeting in October. Let me see, last week, they might have another one, but it's on the website too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the website, yeah. And if you wanna go up anytime, yeah. Go on.
yeah.
Do I have a motion in a second?
Okay, is there any other questions on the golf course lease? If not, we'll have a roll call vote on that also, as a lease, it's a long-term lease. Rick,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I myself, thank you. Okay, the North Country Chamber of Commerce, this is just a form to fill out to get our name and their address book. We will do that. You can pay extra and get your name in other places, but we've never done that, so that's strictly for information. The next thing here is that example of a municipal contribution to the Clinton County Land Bank. Now, probably most people know what a land bank is. I didn't. This is, it has not been passed by the county yet. This is proposed, okay? The county, where each town can buy into it or not buy into it, so to speak. This will be a fund to pay for demolition of the property that's, needs to be demolished, okay? You can see on the fourth line down what our contribution might need to be if we intended to join this. This has to be passed by the county before it comes to the towns. And it will be an individual town or villages can either opt in or out of it, as it's being proposed now. So I'll keep you updated on that as I know more about it, okay? Yes,
They show the sales tax revenue.
yes.
Does that mean that if we agree to this, that they will take that minus the
What?
monies that we have for a
I don't know that,
land bank?
I don't know if that's been hashed out yet as far as if they'll deduct it from our sales tax money or if we'll have to pay it direct. I do not know that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's been,
It'd be nice.
This has worked in other counties, that's where they got the idea from,
Right.
okay? As you probably know, the county does not want to be sole responsible for destroying buildings that need to be, for safety hazards reasons, that cannot be sold on public auction. Most of these are, certainly we have one in the township here in the village, and I'm sure there's gonna be more all over the county. There's a couple right now, I believe in Denimora, that they're having a problem with. If you do not belong to this land bank, if it's approved, and you lose a building, it'll be at your own expense as far as removing it and demolishing it, and that could be very, very expensive. This is almost like an insurance policy is what it is,
Right.
okay? Okay. That has not passed the county. I got this in my last county supervisors meeting, so I'll keep you updated on that.
I guess my only question would be, is you see it go from year 1 and 2 to 3 and on.
Yes.
Are we looking, what length of time is this?
Forever.
Forever?
Well, that's the concept.
Okay,
Okay, the concept was, if they build up a large kitty,
right.
they can lower the assessment.
So if you get certain towns and villages that don't partake in this, does that change these numbers for those existing towns and villages that do commit?
Good question. Certainly, they will not be covered if they're not part of it,
Right.
and there is no guarantee. They wanted this in place at least a couple of years to build up a fund, because somebody's building could be $200,000-300,000 to tear down and move,
Right.
you know, especially those that have asbestos in it. It could be very, very expensive. The details have not been worked out.
Okay.
I brought it back, gave it to the secretary, and she included it in our monthly meeting, so you might want to be advised it possibly could come back to us.
Okay.
So right now it's,
The number that I see in column 1 and column 3,
yes,
for example, the Village of Champlain, $460.19, and then the third column, $920.39.
Yes.
Is that the amount of money that those municipalities would be asked to contribute to this fund?
yes. That's dollar down. It's like buying a $900 insurance policy is what it is.
So what is the $184,000 sales
That's-
tax
That's the amount of sales tax that they received.
they do receive now?
Yes, we received approximately, was it $612,000 a year? Fourth column from the top, Champlain, town Champlain.
Really?
Okay. Sales tax rebate from the county is based upon assessed value of properties in that jurisdiction. Okay? So the village does receive $184,000, Rouse's Point is more than twice that amount. Okay? And that's gonna change as assessed values change. Okay? And if you'll notice, the first year and first and second year, they're only taking 1/4 of the sales tax monies, and after that, it's 1/2 per year. Okay. It's a nominal fee. It's, yeah. I will keep you updated on that. We have a letter from Harry McManus. I'd like to congratulate us, the town of Champlain, the villages, both villages, for participating in joint recreation trail. We now have a $1.65 million recreation trail from the village of Rouse's Point to the village of Champlain. Okay. There was some damage this past spring and winter. The damage was repaired by Clinton County, as ownership of the trail has not yet been transferred. However, going forward, the trail maintenance will be the responsibility of the 3 municipalities. Okay, we knew this early on, that whatever portion of that trail is in your jurisdiction, in the town, it was our responsibility. The same with the villages, okay? We have a greater length of trail, because most of the, I'm not sure, probably 2/3 of the trail is within the township. I'm just guessing on the footage, okay? We're hoping to get it, the rest of it paved. Alan, a couple miles yet to do, you know?
Yeah, in the town, yeah,
Yes, roughly 2 miles.
close to it.
They were hoping to get enough money from the state this year to do, I think it was 2,200 feet roughly, It has not been awarded to us. Harry is still working with our state representatives to see if we can get some money for possibly next year, to at least do a portion of that, okay? Harry did speak to me about hoping the town would set aside $5,000 as well as the villages. I do not know where that's going at in budget-wise. We are on a different budget cycle than the villages. okay?
This is just town outside, this is, with, this $5,000 for the town, doesn't include the two villages.
No. They wanted $5,000 each, $15,000 total. I have not talked to him. I told him I would talk to him. We have a budget workshop next Tuesday. I will be speaking to Harry before then to see if he has any indication that the villages will buy into this also.
Is this something that we're being asked to put in the budget where, using the word that Jane hit me with last year, earmarking for that? Or is it a sum of money, whether it's 5,000 or what, that we can put into a category and it's called recreation maintenance? It could include dirt mills, it could include other things. Is that the way to approach this?
Yeah, but this is not maintenance, so.
Right.
This is not maintenance.
It would be maintaining it at
That $5,000, that's putting towards paving it.
Paving the
So doing
Yeah,
a
the
little bit
portion
at a
that's not
time, so
paved.
over a period of X number of
Paving
years,
all
the
the way
pavement,
from-
paving would be complete.
Okay.
From
Elm
Hayford
Street.
Road,
But I
Elm
understand what you're
Street, all the way up through,
That you're talking,
that's a lot of pavement.
well, yeah, it is. You don't figure you're only going 10 feet wide. The width of a paver, you're not putting it on like we put it on the road either.
No,
And you got portions of that that's paved already.
right, especially on the hill.
The only problem is, it's time consuming. Because to get that pavement to the paver, the truck has gotta back up. There's no place for a truck to turn around there, and, you know. So if you're gonna pave, say back at the school, you'd have to start backing up from 276 all
All
the
the
way.
way down to
Yeah.
Does that need paving?
Well, the problem is, within a few years, that stone and dust, the town's gonna be forced to replace some of that. I mean, it's gonna be either washed out or,
Yeah.
right now, it's not very old, it's only a year or two old, but you wait after a while, a couple winters from now, there ain't gonna be none left.
It's gonna be.
Town's not equipped to put some of that down. I don't have any machines to get in there.
No,
We're gonna have to hire it done.
I'll be fine.
So if it was paved, to me, my thinking, if it was paved, it'd be easiest for us guys to upkeep it, like the mowing. Right now, we go in there and we mow, we put a tire track on that stone and dust, I gotta go back and fix that tire track,
Yeah.
cause you gotta ride a bicycle in there.
And I see in some hills on the Champlain side, 'cause I walked it, coming from Elm Street, there's a big, down there with it, it's already started to wash, where it comes
Yeah.
off the road, already washing it
Now, when you
out.
washing there, it was washed out pretty good there this spring.
That's gonna be a continuous drain on.
Well,
The whole intention was, when they started this, that it was gonna be paved all the way through. We kinda ran out of funds.
Yeah.
Okay, that's for the future. I don't know where that's gonna go. We'll see how it fares after one winter here. You know, all winters aren't the same, that's for sure, you know, as far as doing damage. Okay. We got a letter from Charles Sherman, our United States Senator, to apply for a grant for health and well-being of our students. It's this farm to school grant program. Okay. They're encouraging local produce to be used by local schools if possible. There is a grant. It will close on Thursday, December 8th. This really has more effect on schools than it does the town, but certainly the town would support any funds to do that, okay? Association of Town is requesting information. To my knowledge, we are not sending anybody to New York City for the Association of Town meetings. This is a survey of our employees' benefits, okay? We will fill that out and mail that in. We did get a letter from Martin and Judas pertaining to the second quarter annual review environmental monitoring report. Okay, this is something that's done every year. Been done now for 20-some years, and it'll continue, I understand. Okay. We need to schedule a public hearing for local law to exceed the tax cap if we need to in our November meeting before we pass our budget. So I would like a motion to, our meeting in November will be December 13th. Okay? Can I have a motion?
November?
November, we have to do that.
November 13th, Tuesday?
13?
So I get, am I correct?
Yep.
Okay. Let's say 7:15, would that be acceptable?
Mhm.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
What time do you say?
7:15, that'd be okay?
Yep.
Works.
Okay. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Pass. We have to, for the cable television franchise renewal agreement, we had the wrong agreement in hand at the last meeting, so we need a motion to rescind the motion that we passed in September's meeting.
I'll make a motion that we rescind the agreement with the cable company that was passed at the September meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a-
Second.
Thank you. Is there any questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Now we need a motion to approve the new contract.
We can get
With the right
public
date.
hearing with that.
Julie tells me we do not need a public hearing. Okay? So, we did, get,
No.
today,
I
we
don't
got,
think you have to make another motion. If you rescind it, you just
Rescind,
rescind
make
it
another
to,
motion.
rescind it to approve this new agreement.
The one that we just received this
Yeah.
evening.
okay,
Yeah.
so,
That's what you're doing.
so I don't need another motion.
I
Okay,
don't believe so.
okay, fine with me.
Want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the
Revised?
the revised cable agreement
Okay,
that stipulates on page 3 the date of 10-year agreement.
okay. Thank you. Have a second to that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. Okay. You also have on the table tonight here your dog officer's control report, Daily Mills. I did get a law, this is a response from Matt Fabro, our attorney, pertaining to the Northern Tier multi-use path. Dear Mr. Bargle, I have received and reviewed the transfer documents relative to the above project that you provided. I am satisfied with the form and content and advise you to sign on behalf of the town. Okay? Please be aware, pursuant to the agreement amongst the entities involved in this project, the town will retain ownership and provide access and maintenance for any portion of the multi-use path within the jurisdiction of the town for 10 years. Please ensure that Alan Racine is aware of this new requirement. Okay, it is, we knew early on when we signed on to this project that we would, 2-3 years ago, that when it was finished, the town would retain ownership of the portion that's within the town, and likewise for the villages. We did send the thing to Matt, he reviewed it, and that was his recommendation that we approve it. I would like a motion to approve, if that's the will of the board, before I sign it. I got 3 copies of it. So, we knew early on that we had to accept, okay. And maintenance, we're gonna certainly do our best. Okay? What's the will of the board?
And I'll make the motion that we accept the recreation trail from Clinton County.
Okay,
One second.
thank you. Is there any questions?
I would hope that as this, what is it, about 3 Mile Monster, as it continues to get used and abused, that we listen to Alan and work with him to look for ways of taking care of this facility so that it continues to be a benefit to the entire community. I think it's an asset that we don't really yet
Well, a lot of
realize.
people are using it because people have spoke to me, they've been over it. I had a couple of last week that came out here with their bicycles.
I stood in the superintendent of schools' office last week talking with him about something else. And I made reference to the new ball fields going in across the street. And he noted, yeah, it's right next to the fitness trail. And then he told me that the cross-country team, instead of running around the same trails they've been around for practice, they use that almost on a daily basis. And it's a real asset to the school as well as the community.
My soccer team uses it.
Yeah.
It's much.
Very supportive of
It's
what's
a
happening across.
secure ground. You don't have to worry about twisted ankles. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about a lot of the issues that you have when you're running free form in the fields. So, yep, it's very beneficial.
I would still like, and I know it's never gonna happen probably, but we need to secure that Golf Course Road, Prospect Hill, from Hayford Road to the Village of Rogers Point limits. That's 1 mile and 2/10. That's extremely dangerous road. It's just, and without candlesticks, unless we can, nobody, I mean, everybody loves the portion from the school or even the beginning where it crosses into the cornfield from Hayford Road. But down that road, I watched people, there's a little rise, and then when they're heading east, they cut over. It's just a natural thing for a person to drive over that rumble strip, because it's straight. The rumble strip goes crooked, but it goes into the path. Right where there's a sign that says no motorized vehicle coming down on the east side of 276. There's just a little bit, enough that the cars cross into the walking path. And without any kind of, and people are traveling fast. I mean, it's 50 miles an hour, but they're going much faster. And it's just a dangerous stretch of highway.
We know that. When we constructed that road, we just wanted to be there when they were construction, and nobody seemed to go to speed limit.
We gotta keep fighting the county, or at least not giving up on getting those candlesticks. And Alan even said he knows what the costs are, and even though there's no monies now, we gotta keep going to the county for money, which would probably be about $8,000 to $10,000 to secure that road in the summertime.
I don't think anybody will disagree with you on that issue.
It's just a dangerous, I mean, hindsight 20/20, but if we could if we had just put the ditch on the other side and have the people walking on the golf course side, but we didn't do it, so we need candlesticks. We need something to protect the people. It's just dangerous.
They did put a solid double one, did they?
They do, yeah, that helped out quite a bit. That did help out quite a bit.
See, that's gonna have to be done every year, 'cause that's gonna fade.
Yeah, oh, it's gonna have to be done every
Every
year.
year, that's gonna have to be done.
So that's gonna be an additional cost too. So,
Then candlesticks, I found some.
How much are they?
They're around $80.
For one?
yeah.
They're around $67, $68, but then you gotta get the stud that fastens it to the road, another
All right.
Yeah,
$10.
well,
It's around roughly $80, and we need 100 of them.
yeah. At least,
I mean, if you're gonna put them
well, you need replacements and,
1,500 feet apart, I don't know.
All
yeah.
right. What would happen if the cones were put out there?
I know, but the cones,
People.
cars go by so fast, they drift up over.
All right.
Yeah,
Cones won't last.
No.
no.
This is certainly temporary at best.
Well, we gotta keep that in mind. I mean, that's all.
Am I correct, we have a motion and a second, we haven't passed it yet? Any other questions on the, taking over the ownership of the path? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote, Rick?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
John?
All right,
Aye for myself, thank you. This youth agreement, you want to address that at all, John?
yes, I'd like, I've given everyone a copy of the youth agreement. According to, I'm told from Jane and Arsenio Letourneau, who's the administrator, not the administrator, but the, from the village of Rogers Point. Where is he? He's the treasurer, I guess. The villages and the town boards have to get a copy of the request for and the budget from the youth recreation program director, which is Linda Fredette. And this is also inclusive of Jan Letourneau and Kim McGoldrick. So before you is a copy of their expenses, so you can review it, agree with it, disagree with it. I think if, my personal opinion is if the girls, the ladies have been, people in charge of this have been putting this together for quite a while. And whatever they decide they need, I think they know what they need. They're not asking for more than what they need. And it includes the salaries, and it's all broken down into what programs are being utilized for. So before, we're gonna ask, according to the comptroller or the people that reviewed the past agreements, that the villages, instead of getting a bill at the end of the year, should be able to look at this, whether or not they agree with it, to give the money forward for the next year. In other words, you know, so we can put it in the budget. So that hasn't been happening, but now everybody's gonna have a copy. You guys will have a copy, and I'm gonna give a copy. I'm gonna ask Mr. Hurdick if he doesn't mind bringing a copy down to the village of Champlain. I give some extra copies for you. And that's the youth recreation program, which is only for the kids. It's nothing to do with the seniors or all the other programs that are out there. But also, in the packet, I gave you a lease agreement, which is gonna be for a year between, not a lease agreement, but an agreement, intermunicipal agreement between the villages of Champlain, Rogers Point, and the town of Champlain. And one copy is the old agreement that's, was dated 1985, and that you'll see that basically it was the three people responsible, the mayor, the village of Rogers Point, village of Champlain, and between the town, Leo Letourneau, Oral Parsons, and Paul Cloutier, so it hasn't been updated. The second part of that is a new agreement that Arsene Letourneau in the village of Rogers Point has been working on to replace the past agreement. And apparently, before I was on the town board here, they were working on this agreement, and it stalled. It stalled when, if you look at, and I highlighted, number 10 of the Champlain Joint Youth Program Agreement, the new one. And in there it says the town and villages of Champlain will build 1/2 the cost incurred by the village of Rogers Point for its share of reimbursement of youth program activities for provision and maintenance of the recreational playing fields. And it gives dates. So I asked Arsene, and I told him I didn't think that the town nor the village of Champlain would appreciate that sentence being in there, so I asked them to take it out. And the rest of it is basically just a repeat of what the old one said. And this should be, again, according to the budget review people, is should be done on a yearly basis, so to revisit. So with your approval, I will try to go to the village of Champlain and talk to Mr. Martin and Tom Batha and see if they would be in agreement on the rest of this without that sentence being in there, and see if we can't get everybody to sign this agreement for our budget meeting.
Good idea.
So
It's something that-
hopefully it'll work out. I think, I spoke to Mayor Bassett at length today regarding this and other things, but
Thank you.
hopefully it'll work out. So I can get this behind.
Is this something that Matt's looked at?
Pardon?
Has our attorney looked at this or no?
No, but we will give a copy so he can sign it. You know, before we sign anything, I'll bring a final copy before the board, present it to our attorney, then, you know, just to get it done.
Well, again, I speak for no one other than myself, but I get a sense from listening to this topic addressed at the village level that there was some disagreement earlier on as to how the care and maintenance of the Rouse's Point fields were to be taken care of based upon the number, you look at the number of actual participants. And I think that the village, I think that they told what they had 14 to 15% of all the kids participating. And I think that might have been a reason why there was some disagreement over how much the village, Champlain, was going to pay for
Oh,
the
right.
facility. So, again, I'm going to stay out of that one, because I don't have the numbers.
Right.
And wish you the very best when you visit with the
Well,
folks
no.
in either office.
No, I know. It's been a trying, but I think the bottom line is, if we go by percentages, I don't think that's what we want to do. It's for the kids. Now, maybe some years you're going to get more people in the village of Rouse's Point. Over the years, you know, I mean, if you take the rec center with a youth, I mean, that was put together, their ice, that all came about because people in the towns and the villages got together, put money out so they could have a hockey rink. I mean, my father, your dads, everybody was involved in this. And people like Claude Bayshard, they went down, got all the equipment in Massachusetts, they brought it back, they started this whole ice rink. How it ended up defaulting and going into the village of Rouse's Point, that's a different story, but we don't want that to happen with this youth commission. We just want people to be able to come up and play. The town sponsors this, you know, the villages are gonna give money for all the programs, regardless of, hopefully, if it comes down to percentages, you know, maybe Rouse's Point's got a point where they get 80% of the kids, I don't know. But it's a program for the, you know, I don't want anybody to be excluded, and they even have, in the swimming program, they have other kids that come from different townships. They have some come from Vermont, but they pay extra, and then in the back of that, you'll see, in the behind, there's an extra charge for the kids that are not from the town, that actually pay to play, pay to swim, pay to do everything else, so,
Outside residents, yeah.
you know, so. And that's it. That's basically, part of what the budget review was, so that everybody gets a copy. Now, you guys have been given copies, hopefully maybe I can make them, and I'll go see Arson and the Village of Rouse's Point tomorrow.
Okay.
The only other thing I'd like to put this aside, and I don't know if this has to be in the form of a motion, but Mickey, our code enforcement officer, has been meeting with the Village of Rouse's Point. They'd like to hire him on a percentage, and we've agreed, and Mickey's agreed, to be able to work 10% of the time in the Village of Rouse's Point for their code enforcement, because they no longer have a code enforcement officer. So we would like to, or I'd like to propose, maybe if I have to put it in a motion, a form of a motion, to contract out our code enforcement, Mickey Tatro, to the Village of Rouse's Point on a 5-year contract for 10% of his salaries, which includes all of his benefits and whatever it is included in his salary. Use a percentage instead of an actual dollar amount in case things change, like raises and different things. And he's agreed to go there 4 hours once a week, I think on a
Wednesday morning, I believe.
But that would, you know, that's not set in stone either, it's whatever Mickey can decide to do, so. And I think it's good for a contract to protect him, because he's worked in the village before. And when they change, sometimes when they change leadership, they wanna change the code enforcement officer, we don't want that to happen to Mickey. We don't want him getting tossed around, so a contract, he's in or out, nobody can just kick him out. He's there for, if he does sign, if we agree to it, he'll be there for 5 years as a contract, or if he, whatever, but I think it would be good for everybody.
I see no downside to it if Mickey feels he has time, half a day on Wednesday mornings. Okay,
I know a little bit of the history. He was there, and then for some reason, he got sent out of there. And the story I got, the impression I got now, that he's no longer there, he's still a full-time employee of the town. The town now was scurrying around trying to find adjust his workload, and it became, as I understand it, more of a burden on the town to justify a person who's used to work there, and now he only works for the town. So I think that whatever the percentages are, time there in Shazy, town here, and the village, all has to be worked out so that it's equitable, first of all, to the town, and also it's very fair to the guys now going to be stretched in another direction. So I'm not opposed to it. I think that we need
it's
to put
worked
something
well with the village of
in writing,
Champlain.
and
and
5
Shazy.
years sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, I got no
Yeah.
problem with that.
Well, then we talked to Mickey, you
Yeah.
talked to him, I've spoken to him,
I-
he's met with Mayor Bassett.
I had him go meet with Tom Batten.
He has, okay.
Yeah, they get along well, I'm sure he's gonna be appreciated. The mayor would like to have him there sooner than later, but, you know. But again, I think a contract protects him and it protects the town,
Yes.
and, you know, he's not gonna get pushed around, so, like he was in the past.
So could you summarize a little bit in terms of like how much time each week does he spend in Shazy? How much time does he spend in like the village of Champlain? I just want to wrap my head around this.
Roughly, the village of Champlain is 1 day a week,
1 day,
2 half-days.
2 half-days.
Okay. Shazy is a day and a half, which is 1 full day and another half-day
Okay,
that he shares with the village of Champlain.
okay.
Mondays and Fridays, he's usually here at this building.
Yep.
Or,
And he does have the flexibility, if something's going on in the town, he might not go to the village, or if something's
Yes.
going on in the village, he might go from Shazy, you know,
Right.
he-
He should
he's
have
got the
that
flexibility
yeah.
to come up with, yeah.
we've always allowed him to go where he was needed if it
Yeah.
was something that needed to be taken care of immediately.
Okay.
Which is, you know, just being a good neighbor policy.
And that was, that should be in the contract also, because when I was a trustee in the village of Rouse's Point, there were people upset if he wasn't at his desk at a certain time, blah, 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 all that stuff done. You know, it's like,
Yeah, but
code enforcement, I think is like a police action. If your policeman is needed one place, and he's not needed someplace else that day, guess what? He goes to wherever he's needed. So,
I agree with you. When he said he wasn't at his desk, the days that he's here, he's not necessarily at his desk. He could be out on the road checking on something,
right.
okay?
Mm.
And I've seen the time where we let him go back to Rouse's Point in the past. And if he was needed here, I'd call him, and he took care of business as needed, let's put it that way, okay? And it worked fine. So I think this will probably work. I see no downside to it this time. Okay.
Is his job title, I'm sure, there are certain certifications that he has to have that job title.
Oh, yeah, he's
Okay.
he's in training today up in
Yeah.
Potsdam or Canton.
If,
Okay, he has to keep his
I'm trying
certification.
to think of a way to explain this. If there was a need for, say he was away on call or something, he couldn't be, and you needed a code enforcement officer somewhere else, is there anyone else in the whole scheme of things who also has a certification who could become like an assistant in that capacity, or maybe that's looking too far ahead?
I know no one else. Julie used to be certified, weren't you, Julie, in certain things? But not in all things, am I correct?
No, I was certified. I just stopped going.
Are you still certified? It lapsed?
No, I don't believe I'm still certified.
Okay.
So recurring certifications are what, how often,
Every year,
every year?
you
Okay.
have to go to late class and get so many credits.
Really different people who are water certified.
Mickey's been responsive, I've had to call him at his house, you know, on his day off, and he'll answer a question. That's not an easy job, let's put it that way.
No, I know
Okay.
that.
Well, if he finds that he's too busy, maybe he can suggest somebody that could help him part-time.
That's,
But remember when the first job was first created, it was a part-time job. It was way back when Bruce Willett was the supervisor. And he was part-time. And I remember they came to the village, because they were doing it for the village of Champlain. They came to the village of Rouse's Point, hoping that they could make him a full-time guy. And so he was, and then he was full-time until they asked him to leave, and then he went to the town of Shazy. So, I mean, and then there was a question of why can't he be included in all the town services? You know, in other words, be just another employee of the town, but he was never hired that way. I mean, he wasn't, you know, I don't know if he can, I know he's full-time, but he's not, you know, why would you wanna pay extra when he's already in the town to be a town code enforcement officer over the whole town?
No, it's
I know
not,
it doesn't- it
it's
doesn't-
not in a town-wide budget,
That's right,
okay?
that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
That's where it comes in, it's a different budget.
Yes.
According to Jane, it's a different budget, it's not town-wide budget.
And there's certainly more than just his salary involved here. He has a truck that we supply, he has his health insurance benefits, his social security, all his benefits, retirement, it's a package.
right.
It's quite extensive on everybody, not just Mickey. The benefit package is much more, big percentage of the total budget, okay, the total salary, okay? Okay.
And that, what you mentioned, the vehicle, that should all be included.
It's in it, and his
that.
training, I think we allowed, it used to be $2,000 a year, I believe, for his training. He goes more than once a year, he goes to Lake Placid, he's done, I believe he's either Canton or Potsdam today.
Yeah.
He has to do those to keep his certification up. There's some courses he takes locally, I believe, Plattsburgh, I think Peru had some one time, but he has to keep so many credits up per year, and he does that. Okay,
Judges.
so I believe that'll work. Do we have a motion on it? Do we? No? Motion to draft a contract
Contract.
Your agreement?
with the village for a 10% position with the village at 10% of his total salary package and benefit package. Okay? I have a motion, a second. Do I have a second on it today? No?
No.
I need one.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. I do believe Tom wanted that retroactive to the first
Yeah,
time.
he wanted it, so he
That's
could
fine,
present,
that's-
he could
I had-
present it to his board.
I had a very nice talk with Tom, it was very cordial,
Oh, yeah.
about Mickey's position.
Everybody's cordial when they want something.
You're
They're
right.
trying to open one door, you know what I'm saying?
Alan, you got anything to report on the highway?
No, we got all our sand done. The two villages got their sand. Right now I'm screening topsoil. And that's working out pretty good.
You seem pretty well caught up though on your major work for the year.
Yeah, I got some culverts and driveways to fix there coming up, so they
Okay.
can pave them.
And Alan's been very helpful on the water project, helping deliver stuff and pick up stuff, and we appreciate that for sure. Julie, you have anything other than the bills to present? You got some bills that we're gonna approve tonight for, go ahead on those, please.
Water disbursement number 6, approval number 47, the Weir for $6,052.50.
Okay? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve that one?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
That was
Any
to
questions?
what company?
Joshua Ware, it was a subcontract that he had to let out to bore underneath West Service Road. Yeah. Okay. He has just recently been paid for the work he done on Route 11, the 4 hookups, and some work on the West River. Okay. This is in addition to that, he is gonna be doing extra work for us in the very near future, we're hoping. Okay. Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried, thank you. What else you got, Julie?
Sewer project disbursement approval number 7, Brandon Construction, $10,357.77.
Okay. Brian, you were with me at that meeting last week. Brandon requested an advance on those, I believe it was stored material or something. Do you remember that issue?
Yes.
Okay.
There it was.
And it's a recommendation of our engineers to approve this tonight,
Okay.
so we can send that in, hopefully they get paid in a week or so.
I make a motion that we approve the disbursement for the sewer project number 7 to Brennan Construction in the amount of $10,357.77.
Thank you,
Second.
thank you. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. What else you have, Julie?
That's it.
Nothing else? You have your monthly bills and your post audit bills. I need a motion to approve the monthly bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the monthly bill.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions on the monthly bills?
No.
I have two copies of monthly bills. Here's the one I have questions on. There's two, this is the one I have questions on.
Yes.
The first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first 5 items there are all items charged to our water administration.
Yes.
Paint spray, rental, fabric and
Yes.
straw, wouldn't that be in the category of restoration?
Yes. What happens here is we advance the money to pay the bill. Now we're looking for a reimbursement. We will be reimbursed for these items.
So this, ultimately, this will be paid out of the
Water,
water project?
yes. It just as we're doing with the 3 employees that we're storing the bonds, we pay for them now, and we get reimbursed. And we did get reimbursed here last week for some work they'd done a couple months ago.
And the same thing would be true of water administration charge of $813.
Where are you there?
That's the fourth one from the bottom.
What-
That would come out of it also.
Where are you, front page?
Front page, same,
Water custom.
water administration, there are 3 more down
Yes.
to the bottom.
Right.
Oh, no,
One's Endine and the other one's Favreau Law. Is that what you're referring to?
okay,
Clark?
the 2
Yes.
water administration, you see the $225, that's testing, I believe.
Right.
That is.
We have to have our water tested in this building.
Right.
Right.
Is it, Alan, is it once a month, you know?
Yep.
That comes out of the water administration fund.
Not the water project. That's our responsibility, the
But the
town's.
one that says legal services, water administration,
Yes,
that comes out of the project.
project,
Okay.
okay, okay. Any other questions on the bills? If there are no other questions, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Does anybody else have anything to bring before the board before I ask for adjournment? If not, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
We can still stick around and talk about something.
I'll talk all along.
Okay.
Until midnight. No action will be taken.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
We should
Thank you,
take
Julie.
more off, I thought.
Oh, we got